My coolant bleeder valve, when I went to bleed it recently, I actually, when I went to loosen the screw, the bleeder valve actually cracked and crumbled in my hand, and it exploded and burnt my hand really bad. And I don't want that to happen again. So my suggestion to you is, before you actually start the car while it's cold, go and crack the bleeder. Make sure it's nice and easy to open and close, but just so that the plastic doesn't bind up on you while you're trying to bleed the coolant. Today, I actually have my G35 and my sister's M35X as an example. Now mine's an 03, hers is an 07 with the rev up engine. Basically exactly the same for the most part. The design in general is extremely similar. The process in bleeding the coolant is exactly the same. Same radiator, everything. But mine's an 03, hers an 07. So as you can see back here, this is where my coolant bleeder valve would be, and like I said, it crumbled in my hand. So at the time, I called the parts store, and the parts store doesn't have them in stock. You actually have to order it through Infiniti or online. So my way to solve the problem is I went to Home Depot and got a brass fitting that was the same size as the bleeder valve. I brought the broken bleeder valve with me, and I just plugged it up in there like that, two hose clamps. And the thing about that is, if you're gonna bleed it that way, you have to jack up the front. So this is really high, so this is above that plane, because that's the whole point of the bleeder valve. Is if this car was flat, which it's not, it's jacked up in the front, the bleeder valve would actually sit a little bit higher, the highest point in the entire coolant system. But since I have that blocked off, what I'll do is push the hose down, because it actually has a kink that comes up. And check this out. This is my sister's M35X, and this is the OEM coolant bleeder valve right here with the Phillips on top. Just make sure you use a big Phillips, because if you use one too small, the plastic's hot. You're literally just gonna go to turn it, and it's just gonna like strip the thing out.
All right, with everything ready to go, basically what you're gonna want to do is start the car, get it up to operating temperature. It's not gonna go above normal operating temperature at idle. The cars are very efficient. If it does, you have another issue going on. Or there's just a ton of air in the system, so you're going to want to crack that bleeder immediately. But if it stays at normal operating temperature, what you're going to want to do is hold the idle a little high. So put your foot on the gas, hold it at about 1,500 RPMs. You'll see the temperature start to rise if there is air in the system. Be sure, again, to make sure your heat is blasting on high. So the heat's going to go up to, say 3/4. You're going to see it start to rise, jump out, and get to that bleeder valve, crack it open, and that's when you're going to know what to do. So if you see it start to bubble, maybe you see a little bit of coolant and some air, you'll see the air in the coolant. But if it's just solid coolant, shut it, let it cycle, crack it again, and just keep the temperature up, because if it's at operating temperature, the thermostat's not going to be open, the pump's not going to be pumping water, so then it's not going to be cycling. So you can crack the bleeder all you want, nothing's going to be happening. Also, if you know it's overheating and you crack the bleeder and just no coolant's coming out and nothing's happening, look for cracks in the system and the radiator, things like that, because I've had that issue as well. But it's this, if you've bled a car before, even through the radiator cap, it's the same thing.
So basically, it's very simple. There's not much to it. With this bleeder valve being at the highest point, the air goes right to here. So if the car is up to temperature and you know you're trying to bleed it and you can't get all the air out, or you know the car just keeps overheating, it's more than likely you have another issue, because these cars are super simple to bleed. It's just if you're doing it the wrong way, it's not gonna work right. I mean, it was designed to be bled one way, and if you try and bleed it another, it just doesn't work right. So bleed it through the bleeder valve, not through the coolant cap, and make sure you're on flat ground. That is like the two major things, and if you do that, you should have no problems whatsoever. Alright guys, and that's gonna do it. So thank you for watching, as always, and until next time, remember, there is no substitute for hard work. So if you want something, go out there and get it. Peace.